couple from me. Should we just get the boring team newsy one out of the way? So I guess I was Sanchez, Kikurea, Caicedo back. So where are you with that?
They're all training today. We've got training in a few hours, so they'll be taking part in the session today. We'll have a lot better idea after the session. So
at
we're
this
hopeful.
Point, no one ruled out?
Sorry?
At this point, none of those ruled out?
No, not at this point. So we'll look at training, see how they look, and make a call after that.
Yeah. And with the news this morning that Liam Rosenior will be taking over, where does that leave you? Have you had a chance to talk to him? Did you meet him briefly yesterday? How does it look tomorrow night in terms of who's going to be where doing what?
I spoke to Liam briefly last night. He's obviously really excited about taking the role. Just a brief conversation. So my understanding is he's going to be at Cobham later on today at some point. So I'm sure I'll catch up with him more on that. And the second part of your question, yeah, I've been told I'm leading the game tomorrow. So to try and do as best a job as we can, as we have done, and yeah, give him the 3 points to move on and build from.
Obviously, having taken a point at Man City against Pep, did you give him any advice on the phone when you spoke to him last night?
No.
When you have that conversation, what are the words in terms of what he's coming into? What would you say to him? Will you say to him this afternoon?
Yeah, the conversation was really brief. Probably keep most of that private if we can. I wouldn't be giving him any advice. Liam's an accomplished coach. He's had a really good start to his career. So I'm sure he's got his own ideas and own things that he wants to attack. So I'm here to support him with whatever he needs in the best way I can. So but I won't be giving him any advice.
Your paths ever crossed before?
Sorry?
Have your paths ever crossed before? Like if you
No,
don't coach him,
actually,
do you know
no.
him, friends of friends? Because it's normally sometimes throws up things like that, doesn't it?
Yeah, obviously I was at Southampton when he was at Hull, and so other than watching our first team against their first team, which he done really well in those games and they played some really good football, that's the only interaction I've had.
And what about you? Because obviously Pat spoke to you after the game, didn't he? And you're full of emotion, you just come off the pitch. When you kind of got home, I guess in the early hours on whatever Sunday night, Monday morning, did you have a moment to think, gosh, wow, what a 48 hours in my life?
Not really. We got in really late and we was up again really early, so it was straight to business and getting on Monday morning and get ready for Fulham. So haven't had any time to think about anything else other than the next game.
But what you've done is pretty extraordinary in terms of, you know, going from an under-21 boss to being the boss of one of the biggest sides, taking on the best coaches. There must have been a moment when you've gone, yeah, that was pretty fun. I'd like to do that again. Or maybe not.
No, it was a great experience. It was a great challenge. Something I haven't experienced before. So it was really enjoyable and I loved it and every minute of it. But it's still a football match. It's still two top teams with loads of top players playing. So there's a lot more to it than me against Pep in that moment. It was enjoyable.
And just finally then for me, the excitement of getting another crack. What have you asked from your side as they come up against Fulham?
The same thing we did against City. Try and prepare with the limited time we have as best we can, and try and build on that second half performance. They know the belief we have in them, and we just want to keep reinforcing that.
Thanks, Gail. Soraya?
Afternoon. So Fulham next, West London derby. I want to speak about the Man City first half. Obviously, Esteban, Enzo and Palmer playing together. Under Maresca, one of them was mainly always dropped because he felt that he needed that physicality. You brought on Andrey Santos in the second half. What do you think you need to do against Fulham to make sure you can apply that pressure? Do you think you're always going to have that physical midfielder there?
Yeah, I think it was obviously impacted by Moises being suspended. So everyone knows how well Moises has played this year, and since he's come to the club, he's a top player, potentially the best player in the world at his position. So I think he'll help us with that tomorrow. We definitely missed elements of his game in that first half, but like you said, Andre came on, was exceptional in the second half, really gave us a foothold to control the game both in and out of possession. So I'm hoping bringing Moises now not being suspended, and being available, we should be able to really control that midfield area.
And after Man City, you mentioned you changed to a man-to-man approach, you created more pressure, you were winning second balls and your duels better. Santos was really key to that, and obviously Caicedo was missing. Santos played a lot regularly under the new manager now that we have with Chelsea. Supporters would have liked to have seen him more as well under Maresca, but do you feel he is a player that can definitely play in that 6 role? Do you see him more as an 8? And how much do you think he should be playing at this club?
I don't think it's my place to say how much he should be playing. I thought he was exceptional the other night. He's played for Brazil. He's more than capable of playing in this side. He's more than capable of playing in the Premier League. There's not much tougher places to play than 1-0 down at the Etihad away, and they were exceptional in the first half. So if he can play that level in the second half, it's clear that he can play at this level. And the more he performs like that, I'm sure the more opportunities you'll get. He's been a pleasure to work with.
And just touching on the few training sessions and times you've come in at an unprecedented time, you've handled it, you said you've had support from the key leadership group in the boys. How do you feel about this group in this time period and looking forward to the new manager? It's a massive time of change for everyone around the club and for supporters, and do you feel really positive and optimistic being on the inside from the players?
Yeah, definitely. Really talented group, young, hungry, have shown they can play at the top level against top sides. Anyone associated with the club should be proud of the performance on Sunday, and moving forward this team has massive potential, so we should all be excited.
Thank you.
No problem.
Thanks, Soraya. Nizar?
Hi Calum, I wanted to ask you as a sort of coach watching from afar from what Liam's done, particularly maybe his job at Strasbourg, what have you made of sort of his coaching style, what you sort of see on the pitch and the tactics and all that kind of stuff?
Yeah, really enjoy watching his sides, like I did with Hull as well. Aggressive, front foot football, really good on the ball, good positional play concepts. So yeah, really excited to see the work he's going to do at this club.
Yeah, and I wanted to ask you a bit, he's a British coach, he's an English coach. No English coach has won Premier League yet, so kind of wanted to ask you what kind of inspiration do you think it provides to see somebody in a top job, and do you think that will help maybe the situation that English coaches trying to get opportunities in the game?
It's a really good question. Yeah, I'm sure all young English coaches from an academy background will be, in some way, regardless of who you support, rooting for Liam. It is really inspirational for young academy English coaches to see that someone get that job of that profile, and we all hope he does really well.
And then I think from your perspective, you'll obviously move on to the under-21s after Thursday, and I was wondering what's your sort of vision, how do you want to see it link up? I'm sure you and Liam will probably talk about that this evening, so how do you think the connection will be between the sort of academy and his version of the first team?
Yeah, I hope it works. I'm sure it will be a really good connection. The Cobham is part of this club, like it's part of the history of this club. Even the other night, 3 academy graduates starting the game, Man City away. It's something the club is proud of, it's in its DNA. And I know that the ownership, I know that the sporting directors believe in that, so we'll continue that, and it's our job to make Liam's life difficult with really producing talented young players that can come through, and I believe there's a lot in the other side of the building that can really push this year and in the short period of time.
Thanks, Nizar. Keris?
Hey, Calum. I just wanted to check quickly, earlier we spoke about team news, is that Wesley Fofana training today as well? We know he had that illness.
Yeah, he's going to be checked when he comes in. They're reporting shortly, so he'll be checked when he comes in.
And then I just wanted to ask, sort of, for the rest of this week, obviously Liam's got a pretty tight kind of turnaround. Do you know if you're going to have, beyond the conversations you've mentioned already in this afternoon, are you going to have any sort of involvement in the build-up to Charlton, do you know, in terms of like helping with that handover and that transition process?
I have no idea. I've been briefed to take the Fulham game. Liam spoke to me last night, and that's going to continue through to the Fulham game. And then Thursday, I'm expecting to be back with the 21s, getting ready for Crystal Palace on Saturday.
Thanks, Keris. Chaptej?
Hi Calum, you mentioned that Liam's going to be here today, and obviously he's been announced now. Do you know why he's not taking charge against Fulham tomorrow?
No.
And obviously his first 2 games are cup games, Charlton and Arsenal. Do you think it'll help him to not be in that pressured environment of the Premier League straight away?
No, I think if he's obviously been appointed the Chelsea manager because they believe he can handle the challenges of the Premier League. So I don't think it helps him. I think any game at Chelsea you need to win. There's always big pressure on that, and he'll understand that, as we all do. So I don't think it makes any difference. He's going to come in and put his stamp on the team, and we will all be behind him.
Thanks, Chaptej. Rob?
Hi, Callum. From what you've seen of the squad up close in the last week, do you think this is going to be a relatively smooth transition under the new manager, or have you seen things during this week that you think that is apparent need working on?
No, I think it will be a smooth transition. I think the lads are in a really good place. I've mentioned loads of times like the level they've shown this year, and it's just about getting that on the most consistent basis possible. And I think Liam is really excited, I'm sure, to take this job, and he'll have full faith, and we back him fully that he'll come in and it'll be a really smooth transition.
I mean, you're still relatively new to the club. What would you say to someone coming in about what it's like to work here?
It's been an amazing 6 months. The people from the academy all the way through to the first team are all aligned in what we want to do. It's a great place to work. I'm really, really enjoying it, and that's probably what I'd say.
Thanks, Rob. And we'll finish with Martin.
Hi, Callum. Very impressed with the way you handled the game on Sunday, and that you changed the systems. But you're playing a team now who changed their formation to play against Liverpool, as I'm sure you're well aware of. How do you go about setting up your team for tomorrow? Are you going to have a group of a starting 11 that can play against the back three, or play at Fulham, revert to their normal formation? Is that something that you'll concentrate on in your session this afternoon?
Yeah, good question. They obviously changed shape against Liverpool, different shape to what they played the majority of the season. So
it's only the second time I think they've played it all season.
It's good to know that. Thank you.
What's the other game in his prep?
They lost Bournemouth away, I think it was.
I'm sure my analyst knows that. But yeah, it's a good question, and you're right. Like, we have to probably prep for two different scenarios, try and find as much alignment between both plans, so there's not as much confusion or as much to fix if they don't do what we expected. But yeah, we'll be ready for any scenario. Like we were at City, they didn't shape up how we completely expected, and we adapted, and got to give the players credit for that, because it's easy to give them an idea, but they've got to go out and believe it and execute it, and I think they've done that really well. So we'll be ready for hopefully every eventuality.